Titans fans, we appreciate you watching Titans Today by Chat Sports. And on today's show, we're going to give you a complete injury update of what we know heading into this weekend as the Titans take on the Bucs, along with Ryan Tannehill speaking on the first time after being named the backup quarterback behind Will Levis. Let's get rolling here on Titans Today. My name is Jay Sanders. But before we do that, I mentioned how we have the Bucs game coming up on Sunday. Well, I want you to help me out. We're going to have a Titans versus Bucs watch party right here on Titans Today, and we want you to come hang out. So, if you were going to go to that, if you're going to join us here and be watching the Titans versus Bucs with us, then I want you to do me a favor, hit that like button for today's video. It helps us, it helps the channel, and on top of which, it gives me a head count for who's all coming on Sunday. All right, there were some surprises on the injury report yesterday as we kind of saw some interesting names that I'm not going to say we didn't expect, but definitely were like, well, what happened there? Why was he there? What was that? So we had 5 non-participants yesterday. The leading one was Azeez Al-Shaair, who, by the way, was not injured in the Steelers game, was not injured in practice to our knowledge, but appears on the first injury report of the week here. Not exactly what you like to see. Danial Brunskill as well, the guard. He is on the injury report. One expected guy, Treylon Burks, the wide receiver with the concussion. Both Brunswick and al-Shaire, it's their ankle injury. Sean Murphy-Bunting still working back with that injury, trying to play this Sunday. We're kind of seeing, given he's a non-participant in the first day of practice, I would really probably not like that. Not think that's likely to happen. And then the tackle, Nicholas Petit-Frere, kind of interesting to see him here. Saw him kind of get banged up. That O-line was really hurt this past week versus the Steelers, and we see that there. The Azeez one is what we want to talk about here because it was not expected, to be quite frank with you. I don't think anybody thought, well, we're going to see Azeez on the injury report because, well, he wasn't injured in the Steelers game. To our knowledge, there was no injury in post-game practice, whatever, behind the scenes. We didn't know about that. So it's kind of awkward that you just see him pop up here on the injury report. And everybody was surprised. The media outlets talking about it just like, well, where did he come? He got that injury. He got an injury designation, which we're going to talk about some other injury designation in a second, but the fact that he was a non-participant was kind of crazy. Luckily, it was the first practice of the week. So we're going to see if he can still be on the field at some point, maybe a limited capacity, maybe today, going into the weekend. It's going to be hard to see exactly what to expect from him without him being on practice fields. There has been times, though, where Azeez has, not practiced and been able to go on Sunday. Maybe it's something of the nature of he needed a rest, didn't feel exactly 100%, and they said, you're too big of an asset for us. We're not going to risk it. So that's the hope to get him back on the practice field sometime either today or tomorrow. Okay, Treylon Burks is another one that we kind of expected to see on there. As of right now, he is in concussion protocol still, and the reports I'm hearing are that he is very unlikely to play, which is kind of expected as that injury this past Thursday was pretty scary, to say the least. Seeing him kind of fall to the ground, smack his head, and really, it was just it wasn't great from any here or there, whatever. Burks, though, again, will try and work towards coming back, and hopefully we will see him on the field in some capacity in the coming weeks. But as of right now, the update we have for you is very limited. It's more or less he's still in concussion protocol. There isn't much in terms of what we've heard. Tennessee's been quiet about it. Mike Vrabel said, we're not going to talk too much about it. He's had some injury issues beside concussion as well, so it's kind of hard to see from Burks. But with that being said, you have to kind of look to the other receivers on this field, which begins with DeAndre Hopkins, who 564 yards is great, but when you go to the second receiver of Nick Westbrook-Akine being at 224, not exactly the best for a wide receiver too. Chris Moore, his average is great, 6 receptions, 169. That average is really great, over 25 per catch. He's had a concussion as well, though. He got concussed in the London game versus the Ravens. There's just a lot of questions with this team, and especially in the wide receiver realm. 3-5 record. It's been a really rough ride. And honestly, Burks, a guy last year coming out of Arkansas that was supposed to be a elite-level talent in the NFL, drafted in the first round by the Titans, he's been injured a lot this year. And it wasn't just concussions. He had a leg injury earlier this season. It's been a tough ride, I think, for Treylon Burks. And last year, I don't think he was used to the extent of what we thought. So I think I want to ask you this question. What is your concern level with Burks moving forward from a scale of 1 to 10? If you think you're not that concerned, it's just injury bug, it's going to hit everybody, it's fine, he'll be all right, then give me a 1. If you think I'm really concerned, he hasn't been great when he's on the field, and even most of the time he's not on the field. So what are we going to do with him? Well, then that's going to be a 10. Give me a number in that range to let me know your concern level with Treylon Burks here as we head forward. Okay, the QB injuries here I want to talk about. I mentioned injury designations. Now, what does that mean? It just means that you were on the injury report in some capacity and you had a body part listed that was the injury in question, basically. So Ryan Tannehill was a limited participant with that ankle injury still, was not back to full participation, but was there. But another one we got was Will Levis was designated as a foot injury. Full participant in practice, but did get that expectation of the foot there on the injury report. Not something you like to see, but at the same time, both are expected to be ready to play this upcoming Sunday, which is a good thing. You need both those guys out on the field. And I think overall, it's nice to have Tannehill as a mentor there. You want him to be on the field and honestly be able to show Levis some stuff like he has been the past couple of weeks. Okay, before we move on in today's show, I got a challenge for all of Titan Nation, as I want you to name me this all-time Titans player. We're going to give you the answer at the end of today's show, but I want you to get in the comments section and let me know who this is, because I got to be honest, I think most of you should know this. I'm going to see who the real Titans fans are. I don't see you putting it in the comment section. I'm going to think you don't know your Titans. Before we do that, though, I'm going to talk to you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the sponsor of today's show, and it is the #1 daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. And really, it's the only way that I play DFS. It's easy, exciting, and it's just you against the numbers. You don't have to battle thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. All you do, you pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Make sure you go check it out at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Now, testing my skills on Prize Picks this season has been the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and I'm putting them in for Thursday Night Football this evening. I've got Bryce Young with the more at 223.5 passing yards. I've got the more on Chuba Hubbard at 45.5 rushing yards right there. And then Cairo Santos, he's honestly been the lone bright spot for the Bears this year, been a pretty good kicker, and Bears aren't going to get to the end zone with Tyson Bagent, but they could get in the field goal range. I think I'm going to go 2 there with the field goals made, so that's more than 1.5. Again, make sure you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. If you have the skills, you can do exactly what I did and turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts, like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday Prize Picks will discount a select player's projections by up to 25% to provide more value. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Again, prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Shout out Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. Okay, Tannehill kind of spoke for the first time after being named the backup quarterback behind Will Levis, and it was a bit different from what we had heard in previous times in terms of mentoring up quarterbacks, but he finally talked and said this about his transition to the backup role. It hits hard. I've never been in this situation before, never a situation that anyone wants to be in, but it's a situation I'm in. I'm going to be here to answer any questions he has and try to help him out along the way. This is good to see here. I like to see this from Ryan Tannehill. I think he can be a great mentor. Listen, the guy has veteran-level experience. He overall can understand the game from a level that Will Levis just doesn't have just yet, just from lack of experience. Now, that's the good thing here is Tannehill can just kind of grow and be that mentor, which is a nice thing to see considering what he said in previous times when asked about mentoring, which we're going to talk about that too as well. But before we get into what he said last time when asked about being a mentor, do you believe Tannehill can be a good mentor to Will Levis? If you think he can, then type Y for yes. If you think he can't, well, then I want you to type in for no. We've seen Tannehill kind of have this roller coaster ride of, I'm not going to mentor this guy, I won't mentor this guy, I don't want to be in this situation, all this, just kind of, in some ways, not being a professional about it, but that quote saying, I'm going to be professional about it. What do you think? Y for yes if Tannehill can be a good mentor, in for no if you think, no way, he can't. Tannehill was different last year. You've kind of heard me referencing this was not the same as last year. He said something different last year. Well, that's because at this time, or a little bit earlier, that was when Malik Willis came into the picture, and he was asked about Malik Willis and maybe mentoring him. He said this: that is part of being in the quarterback room, the same room. We're competing against each other. We're watching the same tape. We're doing the same drills. I don't think it's my job to mentor him. But if he learns from me along the way, then that's a great thing. Well, obviously, this has changed. Straight right there. It's not my job to mentor him. And now he said, I'm going to be there along the way to kind of help Will Levis. And it's very obvious that it's changed because Malik Willis and him never really had like the type of relationship that we're seeing from Levis and Tannehill already starting to form. In fact, Levis actually had a quote yesterday talking about Tannehill at practice, saying, yesterday at practice, doing a good job of stepping in and letting me know that that the reps, even in the beginning of practice with the ones, he's not the one here, wasn't the one. He said, I didn't want to step over him, but he came to me first to be like, hey, this is you, so it was cool to hear that. The thing is, we have to see how Tannehill reacts to him on Sunday because, funny enough, in the 2 games that Levis has started, Tannehill on the sidelines has nothing but been smiling, happy. Whenever Levis is back, they're always talking. They're going through film. They're talking about the play before, talking about the pass, the interception, whatever it was. They've been communicative on the sideline. Well, now it's a different situation because then he was on the sideline because he was injured. Now he's on the sideline because he's QB2. He's going to be in full uniform on the sideline. We're going to have to see how that interaction goes this Sunday. I'm not fully sold yet, but I'm liking the way that Tannehill is accepting this role rather than the one that he had last year. Speaking of the Titans and Buccaneers, I mentioned earlier, but we are going to have a live watch party, and I really, really want you to join. I hope you can be there with us because we're going to have some fun times. We're going to be popping back. We're going to have a tailgate. We're going to have a good time. So make sure you join me this Sunday. We're going to be live at 11:30 for the 12 Central Time game, as we really want you there. Okay, we asked you about the player. Here's your answer. It is Eddie George, longtime running back for the Titans. And, I think you got to get that one, Titans fans. I know that most of you got it, and I will applaud you. I'll applaud you. This one was a good one. We're going to do some more like this, but Eddie George is our first one. Actually, a coach in Tennessee State right now. So good for him, and happy to see that. Make sure you're subscribed to Titans Today. We're putting out Titans content every single day. We're going to have videos for you throughout the weekend and the live watch party coming up on Sunday. As always, we appreciate you watching, and tighten up.